So hi everybody, welcome to SMAX Education for SAP UI5 with OData and NetWeaver Gateway Training. So first of all, I am the trainer for SAP UI5. My name is Devinder Nayak. I have around 10 years of IT experience, where 2 years into the Java J2EE and the rest of 8 years into the SAP, into different modules like WebDyn Pro, Java, ABAP, CRM, Web UI, PC UI, Cyclo, and finally into the uh, one of the best part is SAP UI5 in these days. So hope you will enjoy my sessions, and first and the foremost thing, let me explain you how you can interact with me. So hopefully everybody has this pane at their right side on the top of the screen, and I generally recommend you to interact with me whenever you have any queries or anything that you want to answer to me. There are two ways. One is raise your hands. So by default everybody are muted except me, my dear friends, and the control is with me. So if you want to say something, just click on this hand raise icon. I will get a notification, then I can unmute you, and yeah, you can have a question, but I generally recommend to have a headset if you want to ask any questions, so that there will not be any discrepancy. There will be a lot of clarity in your voice. So this is one way that you can ask a question through an audio, but like every question we cannot ask through an audio, and we will feel like, hey, I don't want to disturb the trainer, but I don't want to miss up the question as well. So you can type your question on the questions pane, and this will be visible to me only. And whenever you are asking the question in the questions pane, I will be deciding whether I have to take up that question immediately or once we are done with the session. Because once we are done with the session, I will give you a dedicated time around half an hour for the questionnaire part, and it's up to me whether I want to take up the question immediately or not. If I am not taking, kindly don't mind, I will be taking once we are done with the session. So these are the two ways. One is a questions pane where you can type your question, where you can respond to my queries, my questions, and the other way is hand raise icon where I can unmute you and you can ask me the question. Now coming to the just now Anand even asked me what are the prerequisites, what we need to have. So first of all, to develop a SAP UI5 application, a person has to develop the front end development, and for the front end development you need to know HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, jQueries, JSON, XML, SAP UI5, and you need to work on any of these Eclipse. Anybody has these experiences, my dear friends? Are you from the front end background like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQueries also? I don't think so. And you don't worry, these greenery part will be taken care by me as a child. I will be starting with the HTML5 in a sense that you never ever done an HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQueries, JSON, XML, SAP UI5. If you have never ever touched it, kindly don't worry. I will be taking care of that. Now coming to the backend development, basic ABAP you need to take care, my dear friends, and I strongly recommend that you need to have at least 2 years of SAP experience. That is very important for this training. Considering that, I have portrayed the training in a such a way that they have a real-time experience, and based on that, I have uh, provided the assignments, and based on that, I have prepared the slides and the complete curriculum. So you need to have the SAP experience, maybe a functional or technical, whatever. And coming to the technical part, these basic ABAP, everybody should hold it. You need to know how to create a function module, how to make it as a remote enabled, and how to create a BAPI, what is the difference between them. And I know that most of the ABAPers may not worked on these business object repository, but I, I think they can just explore what is business object repository, how to create a methods within that, how to create events in that. I don't think that will be a big deal if you have the real-time experience. And yeah, again, to have a backend development, we need to know what is a OData, what is a entity data model, what do we mean by the RESTful web services. So especially RESTful web services is for the architect to know exactly why we are using web services. And yeah, SAP NetWeaver gateway. These greenery parts will be taken care by me, my dear friends, and the bluish part, like the basic above function module board, you need to know and you need to extend if you don't have these skill sets with you. And finally, the SAP Fiori, one of the beautiest part. So the greenery part will be taken care by me, and to repeat it again, the basic above should be taken care by you. So anybody has any queries on these technical required parts, my dear friends? Anand, Prasad, Raghavendra, Satyam? Yeah, thank you, Anand. Prasad, Raghavendra, Satyam, you have any questions for me? Yep. So yeah. Here, even Anand asked a very good question regarding the SAP Fiori, my dear friends. So he asked, like, you know, how it is different from the other trainings of SAP Fiori. Server access will be taught all the configuration required on front end and the back end server offline application scenarios. See, my dear, the vision of this training is for the targeted audience. When I say the targeted audience are who are looking to develop SAP Fiori applications or SAP UI5 applications. I will come to that point, the difference between them. But as of now, the role, once you are done with it, your role should be like a application developer, not a functional consultant, not a basis consultant. So coming to the Fiori part, this is not a complete full-fledged Fiori part, but as a application developer, what you need to know as part of the Fiori, I will be taking care of that completely, a bit into the basis, like what are all the configurations to be done. So in a real time, we are not going to do that, but at least we can help our basis guy that, hey, if you are going for a CRM, then these are all the components that you need to use, and this is where you can just find them and you can install it in uh, our application server. So that's how we are going. I cannot say this is a full-fledged Fiori training, but in perspective of application developer or the technical developer, yeah, you will be getting the whole part of that. So any questions, Anand, on this? So this is not a full-fledged Fiori training, but coming to the application or the technical developer, what you need to know, you will be getting from this training. Yeah. Now, the next, what we will be discussing today. See, the major challenge when I saw an ABAPer in the last 10 to 12 years, uh, there is a big difference between a Java developer and a ABAP developer. So a Java developer always looks at, like how the web application looks like and how it is interacting with the database. But as an ABAPer, it's the methodology, the approach of an ABAP program is completely different from a web application developer. And when it comes to the SAP UI5 course, yeah, when it comes to the SAP UI5, when it comes to the course, or when ABAPer has to learn the SAP UI5, the best and the major shift or the major methodology that he has to change is from GUI to the browser. So as of now, the development is done in the GUI, and the input and the output, everything is in a GUI. But when it comes to the SAP UI5, it is a web-based application which runs on a browser. So that's a shift he has to make. So that's where I consider most of my session are to shift him from the GUI to the browser, because yeah, as a programmer we can do any kind of programming, but the shift is pretty much important, my dear friends. So this comes with my experience, uh, when I have shifted, I got shifted from a Java practice to the SAP practice, and a corporate company has given me a training on an ABAP. I was sitting with the freshers, though I was holding 3 years of IT experience. I mean, around three at that time, which is, like 2 years of Java plus a little bit of SAP. What happened in that particular training is the people who are freshers, they are getting everything from the trainer, but I was getting so many doubts. I'm not clear what's happening with the SAP. And it has taken around 6 to 8 months for me to understand, oh, SAP is a package and it has so many modules, and it involves the functional guy, basis guys, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't happen in a Java application. So I was not fresh-minded, but they are fresh-minded. They are able to swallow it. Yeah, and that's where I have started my training. I know the ABAPers. Even I say, if I give a training to the freshers, they may grab few things fastly. They may not grab few things uh, the faster that you are getting. So finally, what I want to convey here is this program is especially for an SAP ABAPer only. One, and two, you need to shift your mind from a GUI to the web-based application. And in that context, I am starting with the evolution of SAP on user interface. So how they have made difference between day by day, what is the landscape of that. So probably this will be the best point where you can, yeah, you get to know that, okay, this is what happened in the GUI and this is what is happening in the SAP UI5. And in that context, we will be learning what is a query. And yeah, I know that most of the people has a query like, if that is a query, then what is an SAP UI5? That will be answered in this part, in today's demo. And then OData, what is the role of OData? What is the role of NetWeaver gateway, and the complete landscape of the SAP UI5 or the SAP Fiori application. So landscape I will be giving you on the SAP UI5 application. So to start with evolution of SAP user interface, my question to everybody is that, what is a user interface? How we can define a user interface? How we can define a user interface? Yeah, Anand says that user interaction with the system. Okay, user interaction with the system. So he need the user interface, which is an instance of the system in the local system. Fine. Any other answers? Prasad, Johnson, Raghavendra, Satyam, Charan? No problem. As let me take it from the Anand. He says that user interaction with the system. You know, in every ERP, he is doing the business and the user has to interact with the organization. So there should be a mean by which a user can interact. It can be through an SMS, it can be through a call, but in this internet world, he can interact with some other tools like a browser, like some SAP GUI is also a user interface. So user interface is the one where the end user is interacting with the organization, strictly speaking to with the system. User interface is a mean by which the user is interacting with the organization or with the system. I'm considering the end user perspective. When it comes to the developer perspective, it's again. So finally, it is a mean by which a user can interact with a particular system. So to start with SAP, what was the first user interface, my dear friends? Obviously, everybody knows that it is SAP GUI. So it has started in 1970s and they have started with their own user interface. And hey, can somebody tell me like why they have not started with the browser? Finally, now they have to come back with an application where the user interface or the client will be the browser. So can somebody tell me why they have not came up with the browser? Hey, in 1970s, Anand can I'm not sure, but Anand says that no internet because user are located locally. Yeah, is it so? 1970s we don't have any internet. Yeah, Johnson replies that the browser was not existing at that time. So which I was aware of is the browser was not available at that time. Oh, Anand replies with a very good information. He says that internet was launched in MIT in 1985. Thank you very much, Anand, for that. So yeah, wonderful. So first and the foremost thing is internet was not available, and this is through the intranet. Yeah, the other reason is we don't have the browser at that time. Yeah, thank you, Anand, for the information. Now coming to the landscape, let me show you the landscape which I prefer to show you. So what is the client here? The client for client is SAP GUI. And what is the server at that time? There is a server which is, we can, let me say it as an application server. It can be a ECC. So at that time, yeah, mostly it is an ECC only. R2, R3, right? Fine. Hey, is it hanging? Now, is it clear, Anand? So just let me change it. Raghavendra is not able to hear me. Uh, Fine. So coming back where we are, yeah. So there is a client and the server architecture here. It is client and the server, and okay. So what is the mean of communication between them? So this is at the local system, right? This user interface is available at the local system. This is located at some IP address somewhere with XX, YYY, which ZZZ IP address. So how they will be communicating with each other, my dear friends? How they will be communicating with each other? See, whenever we enter some transaction here, ultimately it has to go to the application server, and the application server is connected with the database. So actually database is available here and it has to fetch the data from the database, right? So what is the mean? How they can communicate with each other? So it is something like there should be a protocol between them. So there should be a protocol which passes the message from one entity to another entity. Does anybody knows what protocol the, that SAP landscape uses to communicate between SAP GUI to the application server? I hope everybody can hear me, right? Yes. What protocol that it uses? Yeah, no problem. See, my dear friends, we as an ABAPer, we never cared about this. That's the beauty. That's the beautiness of these landscape. We never cared that hey, oh, all the screens, all everything. This GUI is just a note, just like a notepad. So it doesn't do anything. Everything is coming from the application server. Every result, every screen, every data is just because of the application server. So, from the GUI, we are sending a request to the application server for every hit and getting a response. But we never cared about it. And that's how the SAP has developed its landscape. There is a tight coupling between these two, GUI to the application server. So the developer never worried about it. And hey, have we used any kind of request object or a request class or a request function module? Never. So that's how it is. But the protocol means, to communicate with it, a protocol which is used by SAP is DIAG protocol, and it is called as a dynamic information and action gateway. So this is the protocol which has been used by the SAP to communicate from the GUI to the application server. And finally, to note it that the application server, SAP application server, only understands the DIAG protocol. It understands the language of DIAG protocol. Right. So let us jump and let us see the next version. What can be the next version? Any guesses from your side, my dear friends? Any guesses? What is the next version of client or the user interface that is provided by the SAP? The first one was a GUI. Okay, Prasad says that WebDintro, BSP. Yes, they are also the user interfaces. I mean, a technology which has been used. Yeah, Prasad is very nearby. So the next version was ITS, my dear friends. Oh, so the next version was ITS. Satyam, web service is of different kind, my dear friend. That is not related to the user interface. Yeah. So ITS. So let us see the ITS how it looks like. So let me add one more. So when it comes to the ITS, so it is like it is in 1990s. So internet has evolved, the browser has been became very popular, and the end user was much comfortable with the browser, so they have came up with internet transaction services. So what happens with it is the client was a browser, and where the end user maybe a developer or whatever, he can access the transactions like SE11, SE37. He can access few transactions through the browser, my dear friends. It looks as the same. So that's the beauty of the ITS server. But there was a challenge from the SAP for the application server. What was the challenge is the application server understands DIAG, and when the browser technology has developed, so they made like browser understands the HTTP. Both are the protocols, but different methodologies. So what finally the SAP has done, they have came up with the adapter, which is ITS server. And ITS server rule is to convert the request from the browser to a DIAG compatible one, and it's sends to the application server. And yeah, once it receives the response, it converts into the HTTP HTML code language, and it gives it to the browser. So that's how they have done. But the problem with the ITS server is not all the transactions can be accessed. The second one is customization was a difficult one, and especially um, tracking errors was not that easy while developing a new applications or the transactions. And the one more one is not all transactions can be accessed through the ITS, my dear friends. So there was few limitations where we can use all the transactions. We cannot use all the transactions on the browser using the ITS server. And finally, performance. Performance was much lower comparing with the SAP GUI. So this was the problem, but anyhow they have came up with a user interface where the end user can access um, the SAP system through the browser using ITS server, using ITS technology. That was fine. So it has its own limitation. Coming to the performance, uh, the customization means you cannot develop your own screens. So that was one of the issue. So later they have came up with the BSPs and the WebDin Pro. I'm not sure whether which has started initially, but when I was looking at, both are traveling parallelly. And SAP has came up with WebDin Pro Java initially, and they have just moved to the WebDin Pro ABAP later. Right. So these are the two technologies which are web-enabled technologies where we can develop the web-based applications. So let us go with the BSP and WebDin Pro. And finally, the client is a browser. And yeah, oh, excuse me. Right. So again, the problem with it is DIAG and HTTP. So now they have to come up with the BSP server and the WebDin Pro server. So what SAP thought is, hey, for every new technology, I am not going to develop a new component. Instead of that, I will give something called as a ICEM, which stands for Internet Communication Manager. Manager. And which has the handlers within that. Like it has ITS handler. For BSP, it has BSP handler. For WebDin Pro, it has WebDin Pro handler. So it has evolved in a such a way that it has a internet communication framework which handles if from the browser, if yeah, there is an ITS application, then it understands and it handles at these ITS handler level and it converts it. If that is a BSP application from the browser, it understands, okay, this is a BSP application, it handles, gives back. If tomorrow there is something like a mobile, it has to handle from the mobile app, it will create mobile handler and it will do that. So in that sense, yeah, let me remove it because we don't have this kind. So in that sense, they have came up with a component called Internet Communication Manager, which is an inbuilt component in the SAP ABAP or SAP basis. So by using that, yeah, we can run a BSP application, we can run a ITS application, we can run the WebDin Pro applications as well. And that will be handled at SICF transaction, my dear friends. There is a transaction where yeah, these all these components, all these handlers, all these applications are handled in SICF and which is generally managed by the basis guy. Any questions till now, my dear friends? Any questions till now? Yeah. Now, so let us jump again. Right. Fine. Now, again, they have came up with a new user interface, which is a SAP WUI, which is called as a web user interface. First of all, let me explain you why they have to come up with one more user interface. Means there might be the problem with the BSP, there might be the problem with the WebDin Pro. What is the Problem with the WebDin Pro, what is the problem with the BSP? Let us take bit time, I mean not more than a couple of minutes, my dear friends. So let us take a table like BSP and WebDin Pro. The advantage of BSP is one, UI flexibility. Means, my dear friends, I can create any kind of screens in the BSP applications. However I want, wherever I want, I can create it. That flexibility we have. Whereas this is the disadvantage in WebDin Pro. We don't have that flexibility. We don't have that flexibility in the WebDin Pro. Whatever the standard layouts they have given, we have to use them. And now coming to the disadvantage, oh, let me give you one more advantage, Control Z. We have something called as a JavaScript, which is a big bonus for every web application. Can be included here. Can be included. See, my dear, at this point of time, I may not be able to explain you the beautiness of the JavaScript, but as per our curriculum, we are discussing the JavaScript. At that point, you will get to know. But to make it very generic, JavaScript is used for client-side validations, and which gives a big major advantage on the performance of an application. Whereas in WebDin Pro, use we cannot use the JavaScript, which is the biggest disadvantage. JS, let me write this time as a JS. Now coming to the disadvantage here, one, development is complex comparing with the WebDin Pro. So here that is an advantage. One, development. Coming to the landscape and the time as well, even WebDin Pro takes much lesser time than comparing with the BSP to develop it. And consolidating, so BSP is very good at user interface, just to create user elements on the screen, and WebDin Pro is very good at getting handling the data, handling business data, and to develop an application rapidly. So these are the advantages and disadvantages. So finally, with the web UI, when I said WUI is a combo of BSP plus WebDin Pro, and that is the reason it is called as BSP underscore WD component. Fine. This is fine till here because the user interface here is a GUI. The client is a browser here. Still is a browser. Here is a browser. But now coming, my dear friends, when at around 2000, and when the smartphones has got started, you know, the device that we use for our business is not only a desktop or the laptop, but we do have something like a tablet and mobiles. I will say smartphones, mobiles. So these are the three devices which are extensively used by the end user, and WI is not compatible with all these three devices. And one more, again, extension is so complex, my dear friends. Initially, they have started with the CRM, but SAP planned to add it to all the modules, my dear friends. But they felt like it is not that easier to extend it or to customize the applications, and it is not compatible with the desktop. All these three devices, I cannot. Doesn't look good in the tablet or the mobile. They have to take help of something called as a Cyclo or Sybase, some other technologies. They have to take the help of the other technologies. So in that context, finally they have came up with the hero, which is SAP Fiori, my dear friends. So finally they have came up with the SAP Fiori, by which they can answer that, yeah, the application can run on a desktop, tablet and mobile authoritatively, simply, my dear friends. Now you might be having a question like, what is the SAP Fiori? Fine. So we have just discussed, like we have gone through, at least we have experienced. Most of us might not have an experienced working on a ITS, but they have seen BSP and WebDin Pro, a similar kind SAP UI, WI, but yeah, the new upcoming one was the SAP Fiori. The way the method that SAP has came up has raised so many doubts to the people, or especially for the developers, saying that, hey, what is this again? Is it a technology? Is it a technology like BSP is a technology? WebDin Pro is a technology, Java is a technology, .NET is a technology. Is it something like a programming language, or what it is? Or is it a platform like a Windows, Linux, HANA platform, right? Or is it a user interface? So just we were discussing about the user interface. So obviously it should be a user interface, and it is not a programming language. It is not a platform, my dear friends. My dear friends, Fiori is not just as a user interface, it is a UX, user experience, and I call it as a customer experience, my dear friends. I call it as a customer experience. So let me justify why I am calling it as a customer experience. So let us go to the screen, and let me portray a story, my dear friends. Now, so SAP guys, I mean SAP, from the SAP labs, SAP guys has just started thinking on the user interface. So the story behind that is a big, huge computation. Now, SAP cannot say I'm the monarch. Before coming to the SAP strategy, SAP has came up with their landscape, their package, and they said to the organization that, hey, you need to learn it. So the customer or the client has to learn how to use this SAP package. I hope you are following me, my dear friends, when I say SAP GUI for a layman, he has to be trained how to use it. Nobody get accustomed with the VA01, VA02, VA03 transactions. They might not have heard, never ever before coming to that place. So that's what SAP were. But now the picture is when it comes to the SAP and the customer or the client, it's a vice versa. Now SAP said, hey, I will understand you. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you, and yeah, I will let me understand you. Before that, customer has to understand the SAP. Now the approach has been changed. SAP says, don't worry, my dear mate, I am coming to you. I will try to understand that. So in that context, what SAP has done, it has taken the ESS and PP module as an example as that. And it has so many clients like, let me, I cannot name them, my dear. So A, BXX, these are the clients. Just kindly take these as the clients, and they might be good at PP. The other one is the ESS. They are using these landscape MM. So what SAP has done, okay, so these are the GUI screens or the WebDin Pro screens which I have provided. Let me design it. The other screens, let me take the leave request applications. So let me take an example, leave request. So they have designed it, maybe a PPT. It can be a PPT. It is, they haven't programmed. They are just designed the prototype. PPT or MS Paint or something. They have taken few tools and they have designed it, my dear friends. And they went to the customer, like maybe a AXX, BXX, who are implementing the leave request. They went to the customer and they have shown these screens and they said, hey, is it good, or do you feel something has to be added? Then they have taken the feedback from the customer. They have redesigned it again, like might be came up with a few more changes, and they have designed all the screens. Initially, they have started with just 25 applications, my dear friends. Means they have designed the prototype for the 25 applications, which is the production planning, procurement, purchase order kind of standard applications, and the ESS applications and the MSS applications. So they have designed it like, okay, this should be the screen, here should be the logo, this should be the text here, and everything. And this is called as a theory, my dear friends. This is the theory. The design, the principle that they have used to design a particular app. Designing the app is the theory, my dear friends. And how they have designed? They have designed using the customer experiences. Or a customer can be a user, and that's the reason they call it as a UX, which is a user experience. The app which I have, SAP says that the app which I have created it is not just I have created it. I have taken the consideration of the customer experiences, customer businesses, and everything, and based on that, I have designed these applications. And that is the reason I said it is not just a user interface, it is a customer experience, my dear friends. So any questions? Any questions for me? Yep. Hey, my dear friends, I'm a kind, like, I need a response from each and everybody every time when I am asking. That gives me a clear picture that everybody are in the picture, right? So kindly just take a bit pain to just respond to my queries, my dear friends. That boosts me a lot, and that finally that's how you can make a session as the best session, my dear friends. So it doesn't matter if I'm going with this other batch, the same screens, the same slides, the same information, but it's you how you can make a best from me. Yeah, thank you, buddies. Right. Oh, so let me take a small break, my dear friends, for the 10 to 15 minutes, and we will come back and we will discuss on the design principles. What do we mean by these design principles, and how these are being used, and then we will be discussing about the theory, and then where is the SAP UI5? We are talking about the theory, then where is the UI5? Yesterday one of our meta has asked, like, hey, all the applications in the theory are being from the SAP UI5 only. That will be answered, right? So my dear friends, just give me 10 minutes. I will be back after 10 minutes. Till that, just hold on here. Okay. Yeah, thank you. 10 or 15. Oh, if you are asking 10 or 15, yeah, it will be 10 minutes, Anand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Coming to the point, like SAP theory design principles, how they have started with it is, you know, SAP has planned to go with the customer, go to the customer. Before that, they have to design the screens. To design the screens, what principles they have to follow, right? First, they have started, like, they have started with, a let me design the screens which should be role based one, means designed for you, your needs, and how you work. So the sales representative, the end user, should feel like, hey, this is designed for me only. An employer of an organization, he should feel that, hey, this complete application is for me only. So SAP has developed the applications which are role based one. Based on his credentials, it will check what roles he has, and they will exhibit the the screens which are required to them only. This is the first one, which, let us tick the mark. Yeah, role based one. Then what is the responsive? Now in this modern era, again, the devices are, the desktop, tabs, and the smartphones and the Blackberries as well. So the application that has to be developed should be responsive, should support all the devices, support how and where you work at any time. Now we cannot say that the end user will be working for only 8 hours. As in the perspective of end user, my dear mates, I am not telling the developer perspective. It depends on the organization, but the end user may not work, and these 8 hours may not be the daytime, it can be a night time. So the end user has to work on different devices, and the applications that we develop should be compatible, should be responsive to all these three devices. Yeah, before that, let me show you. This is the SAP demo screen for the Fieri, my dear friends. So you can access it by using www.sapfierytrial.com. Just click on See in Action. So SAP has demonstrated a demo application to everybody, which is freely accessible, and you can see the screen how it looks like, my dear friends. So for each and everybody, if they want to have the email integration, they can use this inbox, and these are called the tiles, my dear friends, and they are based on the catalogs. So if it is for the HCM applications, these are the few applications they have displayed. There are lot many. For the CRM, these are the applications, so which they have displayed for the retail base, for the travel, for the logistics, for the MM, for the finance. This is just for the demonstration, and based on the credentials he will be getting those tiles to be displayed, and it is role based one. And the second, which I said responsive, I will show you. So what is the screen of a tab? It is almost all like this, and you can see the difference, my dear friends, how it looks in the tab. And if that is a mobile, it looks in this way, my dear friends. If that is a tab, yeah, it looks in this way. If that is a browser or if that is a laptop, it looks in this way. So the second consideration they have started is with the responsiveness. And the third one is the application should be simple. So I have been asked one of the ABAP trainer who is popular in the market. He said, I asked like how many screens are there in a ECC? ECC. If I'm referring to only ECC module, he said that there are more than a lakh. And each and every screen contains the inner screens as well, and the end user has to at least input 10 to 15 at least. There are, I mean, anyhow, there are few screens which are less, but to complete a task, he has to input 10 to 15. In that, 3 to 4 are unrelevant fields to him, unrelevant fields which he is not aware, but he will take the dummy data from the third parties in and he has to embed. That's what happened in the GUI. But what Fiori says that, hey, let me design the screens in a such a way that let me focus on what are all the important fields I have to show to that particular end user. I don't want to show these 3 to 4 additional fields which are not required for him and he is not aware of. So that's how he has designed. Let me take an example here. Let me click on this timesheet to show you how it looks like. You know, you can see the screens, they look so beautiful, my dear friends. And the methodology that they applied, like, you know, the screens that they have designed, the buttons at the end, and the terms and everything at the bottom in the black color, and the bar is in a black color, and the information is in a, you know, to create it is in a blue color. The font size, even they consider the font size of these, what should be the best font size as per the end user. So to if they have to create, only 3 fields are enough, my dear friends. So like these, so they have simplified the screens. I'm just giving you an example, my dear friends. So what SAP says with the theory that we have focused on what is important to you, my dear friends. So that is one design principle that they have used. Fine. So simple screens and then coherent and provides one fluid and seamless experience. What it says is if my end user works on a couple of applications, he should be he should be able to, just let me go back, he should be able to perform on all the applications. For example, employee lookup. So he is searching for an employee in this way. Yeah, it looks simple, my dear friends, and first and the foremost thing. And you know, one fluid means you can see the screens are very similar. Let me get into the opportunities. You can see the opportunities are at, the search criteria is at left side, and the navigation areas are at right side with the description. If he goes back and he tries to look at the leads, similar screen, my dear friends. Same similar screen. That's what one fluid it says. The if the end user spends a couple of hours, then he should be able to perform all the business activities. Need not to be trained much because the screens are simple and they looks as the same. My appointments. You can see the screens. They look in the same way. Now it is as similar as adding the timesheet here, right? So by they have added one more principle that, hey, whatever the screens that I am using, I don't want to make it much complex. So if the end user is spending 1.5 hour here and there, so he should be able to work on all the applications as well. And when they have added all these, finally the end user will be delightful to use this and he will love to use the applications, my dear friends. So finally, it should be delightful, make an emotional connection with the end user. Just we have seen like, like the employee lookup. So he feels that, hey, he's by providing all these photos and everything, he feels that, oh, amazing. Oh, she looks this way, this guy is an administrator. Let me look into this. So finally, what I want to convey that they have not just designed blindly, they have used the design principles, and these are the design principles that they have focused on, and based on that, they have designed the screens. Is it that's all from the theory side? No, my dear friends. Yeah, to review it, yeah, it has a design principles to develop the user interface, and the application should be role-based, responsive, simple, coherent, and delightful. Yes, we have just discussed. Not only that, yeah, excuse me, Raghavendra has a query if I'm not wrong. Hey, Raghavendra, what happened? Hey, Anand, I just missed. You said, hey, Devendra, can you repeat the same for me? I just missed out. Can I unmute you, Anand? Yeah. Yeah, Anand, I have unmuted you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Devinder, thank you. So basically, my question was, what are these controls? And since I could not understand, so what I was looking is, if you can please explain as to what these controls that you are referring to.
Yeah, fine. See, my dear, these are the elements which by which we will be developing the complete app. So the controls are nothing but a input field is a control, a text is a control. When we refer to the SAP UI5, SAP UI5 calls all the UI elements means which you are, I mean here, this is an image, this is a control. Uh, the text is a control. This button is a control, right? So what we are going to see in the next screen, yeah, the style is a control, okay? And let me take, yeah, just click on these. This screen, this page or this view is a group of controls. One is you can see the date ranges, date range. I will show you the same here. If I am fine, I think I can show you the date range. Here, can we see something like a date range? Data, na. Let me check. Yeah. So SAP has given everything for us. So we need not to develop everything from the scratch. You can see a similar kind of example, not the same, but you can see, my dear friend, so like this. So they have given these controls, and as a developer, we need to know how to add it, how to use them. Am I clear, Anand? Anand? Yeah, thank you. So finally, what I want to convey, yes, finally we have to develop or extend these applications. The majoritarily, we have to extend these applications. Or to extend these applications, we need to know how it has been developed. But coming to the point, like all these are developed just by a control. A button is a control. This icon is a control. This is also a control. A checkbox is a control in a SAP UI5. I am referring to the terminology of SAP UI5. If you are referring to the HTML, these are called the UI elements. And we need not to develop everything, my dear friends. So let me show you a table. So I need not to develop a code for a complete table. That can be something like, oh, it got deprecated. So to develop this table, I need not to develop each and every screen, and I have to specify it. As a developer, I should concentrate how it can be used and what should be specified at the header line. So finally, what I want to convey here, that just like a function modules to create a sales order, right? So they have given the business process to us. In the same way, SAP has provided the controls as a template to us, and we can use those templates to develop a complete screen in these pattern. And yeah, we can customize them, we can extend them as well. So that is the next one. So there are at around 400 predefined controls are available, and a developer can extend the existing controls, or if we want, we can develop our own control as well. That's the flexibility has given, but it will be a very rare case where we will be going with the extending the existing controls and developing the new controls, because SAP has provided, now it is around 500 controls, my dear friends, not 400. This is the previous data, but now it is at around 500 controls, and they have given these controls in such a way that they are opted for the SAP business activities, my dear friends. So they have given everything for us, almost all. Okay, for the business, these controls has been used extensively. They have created a control and they are giving it to us. Now we are at 1.30 version. This is the productive version. So if I refer to the first version 1.10, there are at around 150 or 200 controls were there, but now you can see there are around 500 controls are there, right? So what is these controls are nothing but the elements, my dear friends, in a particular context. So they have given, I will show you one of the other thing, like probably, yeah. So this is one of the best feature, that like quick help, we can give it to the end user. For this, we need not to develop these completely, just we need to know how to use them. So just we need to know which class we have to use. So I'm referring to the text, my dear friends. So this is enter the first name as, so how to use this, how to add these, that's all. So that's how anyhow we are taking in our regular session. But right now what I want to convey, that SAP has given the predefined controls and we can use it, we can extend it, whatever. And it allows you to adapt themes to your company branding and the effective manner. My dear friends, when we look at the theory, probably every company may not go in the same background and the same size here, and the font size and everything. If they want to have the customization, this also can be done using the SAP UI5. So that's the best advantage of using the SAP UI5. Easily theming and branding can be done. So that's the best part of SAP UI5. And to work on the front end, to develop it, what we need to know is HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, jQueries, and based on these, the SAP UI5 framework has been developed and it uses MVC design pattern as well. So as per our curriculum, we will be starting with the JavaScript controls and JavaScript views, but SAP recommends to use the XML views. But yeah, finally we will be using the XML views extensively. So 80% of our codes will be with the XML views, and initially to understand better what the control, how the control is developed, how it looks like. For in that case, we will be using 20% of JS views. Yeah. Coming to the development environment, we will be using Eclipse 80% and 20% on the web IDE, because it is much easier to use, my dear friends. It is not that easier, but when we go harder, we will be able to understand how the view is, how the control is, how the framework is, how they are using MVC design pattern. So initially we will try to code each and every line, my dear friends. So that's the reason we will be using Eclipse. So these are the screens that we need to acquire, and yeah, first few sessions will be, I will be starting with the HTML, then CSS, then the JavaScript, then the jQueries. This is how we will be following our curriculum. And to understand, yeah, even where we will be running these applications are is one, I can use our SAP web application server to run the SAP UI5 application, or the third party servers like Apache or web server. So I will be taking care of all these things, my dear friends. Fine. Right. So let us go back and let us start, like if I have to create a SAP UI5 application, how that looks like. So to start with, a developer, my dear friends, developer. Right. So developer will develop the application in Eclipse or web IDE, which we will be using as part of our codes. But there are some other are there. WebStorm is one of the popular, or Neptune tools are there. Um, many are there, but yeah, these are the two popular, and this is open source, and this we can have a trial version and we can use it. So first and the foremost thing, yeah, developer will get the requirements from the client, and the functional guy will guide us what the changes that we have to make, and the developer will develop the application, develop or the extend the application using Eclipse or web IDE. Once that is done, he will be deploying. So this is one more term which we are not much familiar with. When it comes to the SAP, once we activate it, generally it gets deployed into the application server, but we never worried about that. So deployment can be done at the SAP level or a server like Tomcat or any web servers, my dear friends. So once he develops, he will put the application inside a server, web server here. Now the end user, So application is available, right? Now the end user will access it. And what are all the devices? He may use a desktop or sorry, or a tab to access it, right? Tablet or a mobile. And what he uses majorly, he will be uses the browser as a client, and in the browser he will be accessing something like HTTP under sales order. Let us take the sales order application as an example. So what happens? The browser locates this particular application, and this application is loaded inside. Let me take the other. So browser, it gets loaded here, and because of that the first screen appears like I'm taking a small scenario where the end user will provide the sales order ID and clicks on the get button. Where the data of the sales order is located, my dear friends, from where he have to fetch the data as per as part of the SAP. Where is the sales order details are available? In the DB, okay. In the DB, here I'm using a DB here. The data is available in the DB. But you know, these cannot access the DB, my dear friends. So to access the data from a database is not possible. That's how the SAP is strict about it. I cannot give the access to the data. So it is in the ECC. So the SAP UI5 application. This is the browser, and it has loaded the SAP UI5 application. It has to call the ECC, and it is done through OData, my dear friends. OData is something like open data. So what is it is asking for? It is just asking for the data of the sales order. And what happens here? We will have one more black box which accepts the OData, and that black box is nothing but SAP NetWeaver gateway. It accepts the OData from here, and it goes to where the data is available. It may go to the table through an ABAP programming. Now ABAP program will come into the picture, or it can access a class. It can call a remote function module or remote function call, or a BAPI or a BOR, and it implements here, and then it returns the data. Only returns the data, my dear friends. Returns the data to the browser, and browser has already loaded the next screen. So excuse me for taking time. So that's how the next screen appears in a form of table. Again, now to just answer, the table is available. So I need not to design a complete table. Table is available. Just I need to know how to add the data. Data is available. So how should I bind the data? It is called as a data binding. So bind the data to the each and every column and each and every row. So in this landscape, the first foremost thing, Eclipse, Web IDE, SAP UI5, and which is a combo of the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQueries. So we need to know that this is the one thing that we will be learning, and then the OData, what is an OData, what is the beautiness of that, why they have used the OData, and then SAP NetWeaver Gateway and how these implementation can be done. So that's the reason. So I'm not worried. I'm not going to teach on how these can be done much on the basic ABAP programming, but will give you a completeness of how these SAP NetWeaver Gateway and how to implement the crude applications, create, read, update, delete. I don't think we will be having more than this. Right. So this is a complete landscape of a UI5 application, APPL. Right. So this way, the client is a browser, uses SAP UI5 application. When it comes to the ABAP, there is a front-end server and the back-end server. So my dear friends, just I have shown you there is a box here, which is a NetWeaver gateway. It can be a part of ECC or it can be a dedicated system again, dedicated SAP instance. It can be a part of it, then it is called as a embedded one if that is separate. So when it has a separate like this, I mean this I am referring to here, my dear, NetWeaver gateway. When it is a separate instance, we have a flexibility that I can add the different SAP systems. It can be one is the ECC, one is the CRM, the other is the SRM. So it depends on the landscape whether you want to add it to as an embedded system or this is called as a hub deployment. Anyhow, we are going to discuss in our regular sessions, and that's the reason. So front-end server, which is a NetWeaver gateway server. The second one is the backend, which contains the business data. A database. A database again can be any database and a HANA. So there are three kinds of applications. Like one is the transactional application, which we can have any one of them, and analytical and fact sheet applications. Right. And they have to use, for these, they have to use the HANA as a database. And you know, the transactional like purchase order, sales order, ESS, MSS, SRM applications, most of them, we can use any database as well, but still SAP says that better to use the SAP HANA as a database. And we are covering 99 percentage of the transactional, just an overview on analytical fact sheet because we don't have that landscape. But I'm sure that it is going to help you to create analytical or extend these applications as well, because the methodology is the same, my dear friends. Just a landscape is different. Who? When I was discussing with one of my student, he was a web developer and he came to the SAP and he has done the CRM as well as the SAP UI. Suddenly he has given me a term, says that, hey, now ERP is moving towards the web technologies. Now the ERP is moving towards the web technologies. They are giving the beautiful animated user interfaces as well. So that was a good part, and that's the reason I have got the screen. So as a backend developer, as a front-end developer, and the communication is done via OData. In a project, there can be a separate guys, or it can be a single guy who can hold on these two, my dear friends. The web development can be done separately. The backend development can done separately, but they will be communicating through a concept called OData. Anyhow, I will be taking up your questions once I brief about this training program, my dear friends. To start with, the timings and the duration. It is, we will be starting from 7 to 10. Probably Anand is located some other place. So, these are very suitable time to everybody, my dear friends, because 6:30 is too early in India. But when I compare with the US, it is too late if I'm not wrong. But this is the time that I have allocated, 7 o'clock AM IST to 10 o'clock. And a regular session will go with 2.5 hours, and the last 30 minutes will be the questionnaire time. So the questions which I will not be taking, then I can take up those questions here in the last 30 minutes. And this particular batch is on Saturday and Sundays only. And yeah, I will be giving you the assignment on each and every topic, my dear friends. And ideally, it is 9 weeks. This session is, but somewhere we may take 1 week because of the holidays, and this time we are looking at Christmas holidays. So that I need to confirm, my dear friends, whether we will be taking off on the Christmas holidays or not. If that's the case, it will take 10 weeks, my dear friends. Anyhow, it will take 10 weeks, and it is approximately I have given like 2 months. Yeah, that's about the timings and what the package contains. The live package contains live classroom sessions. So people who are in Hyderabad, they can attend the classroom as well. At the same time, I'm going parallelly. So with this, you will be getting the recorded sessions as well. So these recorded sessions, my dear friends, you will not get on the day by day. I will show you. So this is the one which you will be getting as a bunch, my dear friends. So once you enroll it, you will get everything here. So yeah, this is the recorded session, my dear friends, that you will be getting. So if you have missed any sessions, need not to worry. If you want to finish it up soon, just go through it. The recorded sessions are the previous batch recorded sessions, my dear friends. And almost all, I said like the examples, everything will almost all the same. The difference will be the questions that you will be asking, maybe, right? That's the reason you can make the best from my part by asking the questions to be very interactive. If I feel like, hey, we went much better than the previous batch, I will be replacing those particular sessions, my dear friends. So it has formatted in a such a way that I can just replace 1, 2, 3 with the HTML code. So yeah, so that has been taken care. And right, I will come to the server, my dear. Right. Now, so this is one of the feature which you can get it for the 6 months, my dear friends. The course is for just 2 months, but even later as well, you can just go through it and you can complete it. And if you want to extend it in your lifetime, you can just call me or mail me at any time. Hey, Devender, I want to an extension. Yeah, you can pay the nominal charges and you can extend it wherever, whenever you want, but kindly make sure that you are not sharing the credentials for others. Yeah. Make sure it is for your personal use. Yeah. Server access is for the 2 months and it will be given when we start NetWeaver Gateway, my dear friend. So around 6th or 7th week, I will be giving you the NetWeaver Gateway so that within the course you will be getting 3 to 4 weeks and the 6 weeks later. And again, it can be if you feel like, hey, Devendra, I need bit more. Yeah, you need to pay around 1000 to 1200 rupees per month. As for the course material, yes, the PPTs, PDFs, and the code snippets in a such a way that you can practice it and we can review it. I mean, whenever you just prepare to give to get a complete overview, just go through these PDFs and the PPTs. You should be able to review them completely. Yeah, my dear friends. One of the best part of my training is the assignments, my dear friends. So you can access the assignments here. So I'll show you like you will get access to the discussion forum where you can put your questions inside. This is a place where you can put your questions. Second one is assignments. I have given based on the topics HTML, CSS, JavaScript, UI5 and jQueries. We have that, and for installation procedure of Eclipse, everything is mentioned here. And you have to do the assignments and you have to upload it, my dear friends. So I will let you know how the process goes on our regular session. And whenever we are done with one particular topic, there will be an assignment, and that's reason I generally recommend go with the weekend session so that you get time to complete the assignments on the weekdays. So almost all every topic will have it. And the student forum, just I shown you like we have a forum where you can put your questions to the community. Questions for me. And yeah, let me answer the question from Anand. He asked for the certification. This is not a certification course, dear. This is a course where you can jump into the project and you can do the project. And SAP has not came up with a full-fledged UI5 certification. If that is the case, you can, but SAP has came up with a certification on the SAP Fiori. Uh, so for the SAP Fiori, my students have done it and they said that it is helpful but not a complete a certification program. They said that the basics that you have given on the Fiori, ultimately it helped us, but it is not like a complete Fiori course. Theory is a bit different, my dear friends. It adds the principles and the philosophy. It is more than that programming, and I am concentrating more on the programming because philosophy, those things can be done by you since we have an experience. So, yeah. Today's recorded session, I will be uploading it to, I mean, just one of our mate asked like, how can I get today's recorded session? Today's recorded session I am uploading on the YouTube, and I will be sharing the link to each and everybody. So you can just have a look for today's recorded session if you have just joined lately. So yeah, and you need to enroll before Wednesday, my dear friends. The reason behind that is the enrollment process is there. You might be facing few issues with the enrollment process. So just confirm your enrollment before Wednesday. That is going to help me because these days for the payment again it is taking time, delaying 1 or 2 days. So just confirm your enrollment before Wednesday, and if you have any questions you can just note it down my email ID. Oh, sorry, it is info at the rate, oh, yes hyphen max.in is my email ID, and my mobile number is 9849336768. And if you are planning to go with some other batches, I always prefer you to visit www.s-max.co.in, which is my website for further updates. Right. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, I can take up your questions now. Anand, yeah. Anand, just I'm unmuting you. Thank you. Yeah, Anand, please go ahead.
Yeah, basically I have a few questions which I have like the first question, Devinder, you have mentioned the timing. So can you go back to the slide where the timing of the batch are indicated?
Yeah, yeah, I know you are located in US, right?
I'm looking in the US.
Yeah, yeah. It's 7 a.m. means today we have started at 6:30 actually. So just half an hour uh,
Yeah.
ahead.
So my question was basically like, is it the Sunday, Saturday and Sunday,
That's all.
your Saturday and Sunday, or is it
Yes.
US Saturday and Sunday?
It's IST, Indian Standard Time.
Okay. So basically, it will be my Friday night and
Friday night
Saturday
and
night.
Saturday night. Yes, yes, yeah. Should be good,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
You can
yeah.
push ahead on the Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So the second thing is the course duration normally it will be 10 weeks, but say suppose if because of any reason, because of some emergency or anything, this course doesn't get finished in 10 weeks, so will you be still be completing the course, or you will leave the training wherever it is in the
Nah,
till
nah, nah, nah.
uh,
Nah, dear. I mean, unless until I finish up this, I will not start a new batch. I have
okay.
ample of time. I will be starting 3 batches for every month.
Hmm.
So I have a time of 3 months for one batch, and it should not go beyond that. And if that goes, yeah, I don't care I don't care to, like, I have to finish up this batch, and I will be starting the other batch. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. So the other question was basically what I was expecting was not the certification preparation, but are there any materials like specific to the theory? Because most of the we know that there are the links, but we don't know what
How
is the
to?
right process
Yeah,
to access those links.
yeah.
You understand what I was trying to say?
Yeah. I
Like,
can guide you. I can absolutely guide you because SAP has given huge documentation. But yeah, I can show you the process how you can start with, how you can end up with.
so will in the server access you mentioned that we will be giving the access to the front end server for 2 months. So that does that front end server will also be having a back end server connected to it?
Yes, yes. But dear, when we see, let me show you the curriculum where how let us, where is our diagram? Yeah, this is our diagram, right? So this is how we will be starting our course. For the HTML5, the backend server is
Mm-hmm,
not needed, and
mm-hmm,
we will be using Eclipse as a
mm-hmm.
tool, and which is open source. It doesn't need any server. It gets
Right.
inbuilt server. So so every individual will
Great.
have the same, and the code snippets I will be sharing with you in a Dropbox. So if you
Okay.
feel like, hey, Devender, I need a code snippet, you will be getting there. So that's how we
Okay.
will be starting HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and done till here. And we will be developing. I mean, the good part of this training is we are traversing through a requirement. It is not like a subject to subject. There is a requirement, and to fulfill the requirements we will be learning HTML. We will try to see what we can do within the requirement, get the CSS, add CSS to that requirement, JavaScript, add it to the requirement, which have just, I mean, it is almost all like a real-time requirement which I have done a custom application. So I have changed a bit because of the security reasons, not as it is, but I have changed. I have fulfilled in a such a way that almost all the features are being added in that particular requirement. So we will be starting with that come here. We have completed the front end part. right? And once we are done with the front end part, then I will give you the server access at that time, and we will jump into the backend OData. I mean, OData are the data services, what I call it as a NetWeaver gateway. So at that time, I will give you the server access. We will be developing all these kind, and finally we will be integrating everything for our
Okay.
requirement. For our requirement. So
Okay.
for this requirement, it is more like for this requirement, I am giving you the tools how to develop this application, and you are the person who has to complete this. I am not the one who has to complete it, and that's the reason it is the assignment based training. So require, I will give you the requirement, I will give you the tools, I mean to say the stuff which is required to complete this. And yeah, and I suggest, I recommend that each and every guy has to do the assignments, my dear, otherwise I will not be able to help you out completely. You know, session looks good. I hope I am good at presentation, so people feel like, hey, Devender, you are going good. Yeah, Anand, are you there?
I'm here. Sorry, but your voice was cutting off. I understand what you are trying to say. So, yeah, the NetWeaver gate, whenever we will have a backend server, whenever we jump into the when we connect this front end application to the NetWeaver gateway, that time this NetWeaver gateway will be also be connected to a backend server, so
Right.
we can see the data, right?
Right, right, right. Initially, we will be using the dummy data because I want you to concentrate on the UI5, because
Right, correct.
we are all the ABAPers. I know that you are better than me at this point of time. At this, once you understand NetWeaver gateway and what is the OData, you are the best than me. Uh, so that's the reason I leave most of the things for you, and I understand what I can just truncate for an ABAPer, so I can go faster for an ABAPer. So yeah, that's what finally I want to say. Like, initially we will be concentrating, I'm going with the HTML. The reason behind that is, hey, we are the ABAPers, we never done. So let us start with the tougher task, let us complete it, and then we will go with the easier part. Done. Once you are done, then yeah, you have to do these requirement. And the other part I want to add it to everybody, that once we are done with the course, I will give you 15 days of time to you all to complete this requirement with full-fledgedly. And you have to present me, my dear. And this presentation will be done one-on-one, so one-to-one. So if somebody are interested, they can include. If Anand is presenting, if somebody are interested, they can add it. For this, I will give a comfortable time for me and Anand. If that is Prasad, I will have one-to-one session, and I will be recording this session, my dear friends. So that's how I can help others as well. So once this is done on the 15th day, once we are done with the course, then I will give you a standard extension assignment. And means, if the people is from the CRM background, I can give one. If he is from the MM background, I will give him a task to extend a standard application with reference to the MM, and he has to finish it up in 15 days. And again, I will go with one-to-one session with him, and these sessions will be recorded. And my dear friends, one note strongly, though you are paying money and you are spending time, whoever does these second task, like they extended the standard application and they have presented me and I'm fine with that, they will get a share of the other recorded sessions done by others. It can be at 15 to 20 other applications. This is just to note that you should be serious for that, and it is out of scope of our course, my dear friends. So just excuse me if I'm a bit serious on that, but this is how you help others, get help from others. the final one. So the course till everything will be the same to each and everybody. But once we are done with the course, if you are done with the requirement, fine. I will give you a standard real-time requirement. You have to do it. You have to present it to me. Done. Yeah. Anand, I hope it is clear to you.
Yes. Yeah, it was helpful. So, Devinder, like I have two more questions. So,
Please, please.
like, yeah. So for the people like just like me, because I am from the non Java background. So while for the installation of the Eclipse or anything, is there any recording that you will be sharing wherein you have explained how to get Eclipse, how to set up your system and everything, or
Dear,
it will be on
I
the
have,
online session?
yeah, yeah, I have explained everything. Let me show you. Let me show you one of the examples. You need not to worry about anything except the above. Don't ask me the above queries like, you know, uh, like what program that you have written. Except that I will be treating you as a child in these installation HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, SAP UI5. Don't hesitate to ask me any kind of question. I will be treating you as a very, very beginner for the SAP UI5, but I will be strict on the assignment parts. That's all. So anyhow, it gets time, but every screenshot has been given. And if you are still facing, for example, you have faced an issue while installing the Eclipse. So what we will do is once we are done with the session, we have the questionnaire part, right? At that time, I will ask you to present your screen and we will resolve the issues. So yeah, you can see here, Anand. Yeah, we will resolve the issues in that way. So I have given each and every screenshot how to install it, where to install it, and how to do that. Should be fine, right, Anand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
yeah,
will also
Anand.
be discussing the offline application scenario, like just in case the people are traveling, they basically want a application to just record the data and then sync it with a main server. So, are we also going to discuss that
Nah,
kind
nah,
of application?
nah, 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 nah. SAP UI5 is not more for offline applications. It is morely for the online application. Anyhow, I will check it, but it is not as part of our course.
Okay.
Yeah. Any
Okay.
other?
Thank you, Devin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Let me take the question from Prasad. Prasad, I am just unmuting you. Yeah, Prasad.
Yeah, Devender, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Uh, by seeing this network gateway and all, I feel like it's an on-premise kind of training.
Right.
Suppose the UFI developments, if it is in on-demand, the same kind, you are going to show that part also.
The trial version as well. HANA trial version I will be showing you.
Okay. Okay. Generally, like how in the development right now, it's going towards SAP also through completely to the cloud solution.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. It is recommended. It is recommended. If client asks, hey, do I need to go with the cloud or do on-premise? We should recommend go on the cloud. But still the clients are not relying on the cloud platform because of their own security reasons. They don't want the data with the SAP. That's one of the reason. Most of the clients are not going, but you know what SAP and the other people says that hey, the future is a cloud. But
yeah,
still for the
because
next,
still if you go with on-premise, still it's go with the licensing, right?
right, right.
Okay.
We do with the licensing, but it is not a feel that our complete code and the business process is with the SAP. When we
Okay.
go with the cloud, the complete landscape and everything with the SAP, if SAP is serious on you, he can scrap your server on that particular instant. You know, So yeah, it's still client is not that reliable on the cloud platform. Uh, what the
No,
most queries I have
you
seen.
are, I mean, you are going to show some examples on that front, right? Like how
Yes,
to
yes.
deploy this
On HANA
on
Cloud
cloud.
platform,
Yeah.
the trial version is available. I can show you the example, and I can show you. But that is a front end only. The back end ultimately will be the ECC, and I can show you that there is a trial version is also available. Yeah, for the SAP ECC as well. I can show you that. I can show you. Yeah.
Okay, fine. And the second question is like, uh, well, uh, what percentage we can learn with the SAP Fiori apps?
See, dear, I cannot give you the percentage because I don't know how much of theory I have a knowledge, to be honest. Uh, you know, I cannot rate myself as a full-fledged SAP theory consultant because it adds the basis guy, it adds the functional guy into the picture. Uh, but like if you are looking as a application developer, you want to develop an application or you want to extend the application, you will be getting the full knowledge on that. But if you feel like on an architect level, or if you are a functional guy, probably you will not be getting best from my side for your
No,
requirement.
no, I'm talking about the application as a application developer.
So application developer, you will be getting everything like how you will be configuring, how you will be installing, the overview of the installation, and how you will be extending the standard Fiori applications. You will be getting uh, knowledge about them full-fledgedly.
Okay, basically SAP UI5 will be used to develop the SAP Fiori apps
Yeah,
that we are going to see. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's it from my side.
yeah. Thank you, Prasad. Thank you. Okay, so just lower your hand, Prasad, by clicking on it. Let me take a question from Charan. Charan, I'm just unmuting you. Yeah, Charan.
Yeah, I have a question. Are we going to deploy this SAP Fury apps in in mobile devices, or it would be in laptops only?
For
Are we going to do that?
all the three devices, my dear friend, I will be showing you a small example on Cardova. If you want to create a app, mobile app, just like a Play Store as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
that would be great.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks, David.
yeah. Is there any other things that you want to ask, Charan?
No, then that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Thank you, Charan. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? So, my dear friends, you can contact me at info@s-max.in. So my website is just, if you want to search, Google it, you can say yes Max Educations. Probably you will be getting on the top, or yeah, you can search with SAP UI5 online training from Devender. Yeah, you will be getting on the top almost here. Just click on it, you will be able to navigate to my website, and here you will be getting my contact details. And if you want to pass some messages, you can pass from here as well. And the people who want to enroll, they can just go here, they can just click on the SAP UI5. If you want to go with the e-learning, means just a recorded sessions, you can subscribe for that. If you want to go with the live, you can just subscribe here. and you have to fill up the form in this way. If you want to pay through the PayPal will should be used by non-INR accounts only. For INR accounts it is not used, and if you want to use INR, put it as a offline, and send me a mail. I am going to send you the bank account details to you.